Hello everyone and welcome to a new video in our IFS Cloud video series. This is the second video in our technical series. My name is Marcela Ushan. I'm an IFS consultant and today I want to discuss about history log, what it is, how do we set it up, and more specifically, how do we make the access of this history log data more user-friendly in IFS Cloud. So without further ado, let me just jump into the system and start the discussion about history log. So now when we discuss about history and history logging, some, not all, but some of the business objects in IFS Cloud, like is the case with the sales quotation that we see here, has a standard functionality to capture some history. Yeah, so basically if we have one quotation where I changed a couple of times the delivery terms, the payment terms, yeah, and if we go to quotation history, we could see that all of these changes have been logged. Yeah, exactly what was the previous value, what's the new value, and when that change was done, and what was the status of the quotation when that change was done. Yeah, but what does it happen if we want to monitor some fields, like for example this probability field? If we change it from 90 to 50%, and then also this customer RFQ number, if we change it from nothing to RFQ 123, if we go back to the quotation history, we will see these changes are not logged by the standard functionality. Yeah? And whenever we have such cases, it's good to know that there is some functionality called history log, which will enable us to capture all the changes that we want to monitor. Yeah, who did the change, when it was done, what was the old value, what's the new value. Yeah, much more than we get with the standard quotation history in this case. Yeah. So one thing that we need to do in order to be able to enable the history log, we need to know about which logical unit we talk about. Yeah, logical unit mostly is a page in IFS Cloud, so each page has its own logical unit, its own entity, if you will. And in this case, we talk about the sales quotation, but in order to see exactly what's the logical unit name or the LU name, we would go to the top right where your user ID is, go to debug and then page info. And here we could see the order sales quotation, order quotation. This would be our history log, our page. Yeah, and then in order to set up history log, we would go to a page that's called history log configuration. Let me open it in a new window. Okay. So I did not want a new window, I wanted a new tab. So it opens in a new tab. And basically in the history log configuration, we can configure history logging for each of the pages or the logical units or the entities in IFS Cloud. Yeah. So we know our entity is called, or our logical unit is called order quotation. So we could just search by this logical unit name, order quotation. And we see we have something for order quotation charge, order quotation competitor, but what we care about is this order quotation. Yeah? And here we can see at the moment this one is not set up for history logging. We could simply enable history log, and this basically will create a trigger on this table, and then we could monitor for individual fields. Yeah, we could monitor when a value is inserted, when it's updated, and also when it's deleted. Yeah, very important. But before setting this up, I would also recommend to set up an automatic history removal. Yeah, so because depending on how much action, how many records you have in a specific table, like the sales quotation, for example, if you have tens of thousands of quotations, for example, if you have a high volume of quotations and then you log changes on different fields, yeah, this could end up with quite a lot of data in the history log table. You know? So my opinion is, or my recommendation is, to be very careful when you set this up. Yeah, think about how long you want to preserve this data. Yeah, in our case, I will just leave it for 30 days and then it will be automatically removed, yeah, automatically cleaned up. Good. And now if we come to the columns of the table, yeah, so we could see, we could enable edit, and then we could enable the logging on the, let's see if we can find a field which was called probability and then customers RFQ. So we go to P for probability. Probability. Quotation probability, this one. And we just want to log the inserts, the update, and if it's deleted also. Okay, and then we want to also take the RFQ number. Let's see if we customer RFQ number, if we could find it, which is probably the customer ref, the data, the column name in the database. But let's just refresh the page and have a quick look at it. I will show you also how to find the column name. Let me just do a quick refresh. If we don't know, because sometimes the label that we can see in the sales quotation is not actually the field name in the database, yeah, but we could also come to it with, so customers RFQ number, and if we open page info, yeah, so we see our logical unit name is order quotation. Let me just do a control F for RFQ, and we should be able to find it. It's after the lines. If we don't really know how it's called, order quotation charge, order quotation details. Yes, here it should be our RFQ. Yes, and it is customer quotation number. No, customer quotation number. This is the RFQ field. So then we see here we have customer quotation number. We want to log the insert, the updates, and the deletes, and save. No? Good. Now we have enabled history log for this entity for the order quotation. But how do we see the history log? Yeah. So normally, in order to see the history log, you can, I want to save it, we can go to the history log, and here we have a huge table which will log all the different changes to all the tables that we are monitoring, you know, which is not ideal, takes a lot of time to load, and not very user friendly. Obviously, in previous versions of IFS, in IFS 10 or even IFS 9, there was a shortcut, an easy way to get from this sales quotation number. By the push of a button, you would be navigated to the history log details for just this one sales quotation, and we could see all the changes that happened to the fields that you are monitoring. Yeah. Obviously, we want to do the same in IFS Cloud, and in order to do that, we would need two things. We would need a quick report. I will show you how to create one, and we would need also a custom command that we could easily do with Page Designer. So you've seen probably my previous video where I walked you through the Page Designer configurations that are possible, and one of them was also to create a custom command button to navigate or to execute a quick report. But let's first do some changes here. So we want to do some changes to this quotation number 2, and we want to change the customer RFQ 999, and we want to put probability to 100%. So remember, these are the two fields that we have enabled history log for. So we will just say OK. And once again, if I look into the standard quotation history functionality, I should not see any mention of changing the probability and also the customer quotation number and the RFQ number. And indeed, we don't see it. But if we go to the history log here and we search by logical unit name, order quotation, and search like that, depending on how much data you have here, we should be able to see the records. Yeah, and indeed, we can see two lines, but of course, these are the only changes for this order quotation table, because I just updated these columns now after I set up the history log. But imagine in an environment where you have hundreds of users creating sales quotations, updating sales quotations, would be a bit of a mess to come to this table and find out what data you're looking for, because you would need to search by the key, and the key contains your quotation number. But basically what we will do, we will write a SQL statement, SQL statement, that would take the quotation number from the page, put it in a quick report, run the quick report, and get these results back. Now basically here you can see that it was myself that did two changes. So did a change to the I think we need to put some more columns here. No, we need to go to the details. And there we can see I changed the probability column from 20 to 100%. And then if I want to see the other change, I need to go to the second record and again go to the details, which is not very user friendly, as I said, where we can see the change in the customer PO number from 3123 to RFQ 999. So let me show you a quick way of handling this. So basically we will create a quick report. We go to quick reports. Quick reports are basically SQL statements that we could run to gather some data from the system. We will just create a new report really quickly, and we will call it history log sales quotation. It's an SQL type, SQL statement. Category doesn't really matter, but let's see if we can find something with sales. Sales quotation. Domain, again, this would be sales. And this is just for categorizing the quick reports. Doesn't really have any functionality behind it. So for the query, I already have my query, but I will quickly explain it to you. The purpose of this session is not to learn how to build SQL queries. But here basically we are getting some data from the history log table. Where our logical unit name is either order quotation or order quotation line. And then we pass our quotation number from the screen. Because we will have a navigation button from the sales quotation to execute the quick report, and then we will automatically take the quotation number and execute the quick report dynamically. We could say OK. Here I could put a comment. Quotation history log for sales quotation used as command button in sales quotation page. We could save it like that. And now we have our quick report. Of course, if you want to allow users to run this quick report, you need to grant permissions to the projection of the quick report, but this is a separate topic, probably for another video. So now we have our quick report, which takes as parameter the quotation number. Now what we could do, maybe just to see if this works, we could click on view report, and here we see it takes a parameter quotation number. Let me just copy our quotation number and paste it quickly just to check that our quick report is working. I press on execute and immediately we get the results. Let me change to table view. Yeah, so we have the results as an overview. We no longer need to go to the different details. Yeah, so we see it was an update of the customer quotation number and an update of the quotation probability. Yeah, old value, new value, who did it, the timestamp of the change. Yeah. So basically we will enable this quick report with a custom command. Yeah. And if you remember, we go back to the sales quotation. If you remember from the previous video, or if you haven't seen it and you want to find out what's possible to do with Page Designer, I invite you to go over my previous video, but right now I will just open Page Designer. And once it opens, we will create a new command window, command button here in the sales quotation header. Yeah. So we have the command groups. Let me just expand a bit on this section, maybe even collapse the selector. Okay, so I will just expand on the command groups and we will just create a new command group. And the command group, we will call it history log. Okay, so it's created at the bottom. Maybe we will bring it at the top, so we don't have to press the three dots in order to see it. And inside our command group, and this is just like a bucket where we can put our commands, we will create a real command which will be execute quick report. And here the label will be history log. And the quick report type will be SQL statement, and select the quick report. I will search for history log. No data found. Probably I will need to do a refresh. Let me do that really quickly. Refresh the full page because we just created the quick report and we haven't refreshed the page since we created it. Okay, now we just refresh the page. Once the data loads, I will open the page designer again. So open page designer quickly, and then hopefully our quick report will be visible. So command groups, expand command groups, create a new command group, history log. Okay, and then let me just drag it to the top really quickly, and here I will just create as content a new execute quick report. Let's see quickly if we can find it. History log. No, let me try one thing. If I go to the quick report and I will just refresh and refresh again. Let me refresh and let me see now. History log not yet. Final refresh. Usually takes some time, but it should be fast. Whenever the quick report is created, it should also be available to be displayed with the page designer. We open page designer again. And quickly create a command group. History log. And then let me create another command inside with the execute quick report. The type is SQL statement. Still not visible. History log. Okay, it's here. History log sales quotation. And let's put it a label history log, or maybe view history log, view full history log. And very important, we need to map some parameters. Yeah, we know that our quick report expects the quotation number as parameter. So we click on edit, destination attribute is the quotation number. Yeah, this is the parameter from the quick report. And the context value, which value do we pass from our sales quotation? Obviously, we would pass the quotation number. Quotation number as quotation number, yes. And we are asked if we want to directly execute. Yeah, so once we press the command button to navigate to the page, we also want to execute directly. So when the user goes to the page, we'll see directly the results. Yeah, so everything is true. Let me drag it to the top once again. Okay, I will save it. We already see our button here, and I will publish it. And now I can close my page designer. Let me also close the navigator. So basically now, if I'm on this quotation number 2, where I did the changes to the quotation details, yeah, the probability and the RFQ, I could even change it again. So also this change will be logged. And I can even delete the customer RFQ number, leave it blank. And now I can go to view full history log, which now has 4 lines. Yeah, and we could easily see, let me change to table view. We could easily see the latest changes are the 2 lines. Yeah, so I ordered in the SQL statement, I ordered the rows by timestamp. Yeah, so from oldest change to the newest change. Yeah, so here the latest change is that we changed the customer quotation number from RFQ 999 to null. And then before that we changed the probability from 100 to 30, and everything is visible here. Very easy to use. Just press a button and then we view the full history log. Yeah, for the first quotation, probably I don't have anything, yeah, because I didn't do any changes since I enabled the history log. Yeah, so you could see quite easy once you know which fields you want to monitor. Yeah, you could do that quickly, and then you could create a quick report to view the full history log. And I will also leave the code, the SQL code of the quick report in the video description. So make sure to check that out in case you want to enable this solution for yourself or for any of your customers. Yeah. So let me know what you think about this history log functionality. I think it's quite awesome, very useful, but just one caveat, please pay attention to how you set up the automatic deletion of the history log. Yeah? Please make sure you enable that and you make sure that your records are cleaned and the history log table is cleaned every now and then, because otherwise it could grow to huge amounts of gigabytes. And then could cause some performance issues when people want to see the history log. Good. That's all for this video. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day and stay safe.